Hey guys, welcome back to the Nail Hub YouTube channel. I'm here with Monica Felton, Certified Financial Planner, and we are going to get into Class 5 today. I hope you guys have been able to follow along step by step as we've gone through this financial university journey. And Monica, welcome back. Thank you again
Thank
for
you.
doing all this work, and I'm so excited to get into Class 5.
Great. Well, last week, if you recall, we covered where to save your money, and we talked about qualified plans or pre-tax dollars. So today we're going to talk about where can you put your money after taxes. And again, this is the exciting time, right? Because we have so many choices.
Mhm.
So today's class, we're going to talk about after tax money and what we can do with that to create future wealth.
Great. And for those of you that have been following along, there's also been some homework. So please complete all the homework because that is important to us and Monica being able to assess your progress in this financial university journey. And again, any questions that you guys have asked along this whole process, we are going to include those in our office hours. So the more interaction you have, the better, and the more you're going to get out of this. All right. So, Monica, what do you have in store for us today?
All right. Well, again, we're going to get back to our personal economic model and talk through how after tax investments flow through our fingertips. So here's our personal economic model. And last week we talked about the qualified plans and how they work. So if you recall, we earn income, we don't pay taxes, and we put that money into those what we call qualified plans. That would look like an IRA, a 401k, a SEP IRA. Most of the time, those investments are put at risk, which means you're investing your money in the stock market. And again, what risk means is that the asset can go up, but remember, it also can come down. Now, we do not avoid taxation in the qualified plans. Remember, we just postpone them. So, actually, when we take money out of the account, withdraw is when I have to pay the tax man. And remember, you always have to pay the tax man. You're not usually going to get out of that. And then we can spend the money. Okay, so that's after tax, or excuse me, that's pre tax investments. So, what today we're going to talk about is after tax investments. And so, what that looks like is we earn our income. Remember, it comes in through that big tank, and then we do pay taxes. But then we get some choices. So, after we've paid our taxes, we can put our money in two different places. We can put our money into a risk tank, which again, we discussed. The money can go up or it can go down, or we can put it in a safe tank, which is guaranteed to go up all the time. Even in after tax investments, the government still wants their money. So anytime you have a gain in your investment or in your savings account, the government is going to want their piece. Now, when we're talking about investment income, we have a couple new terms. One is called long-term capital gains, and one is called short-term capital gains. And capital gains are the increase that we earn on our investments. So, like I said, it can be real estate has capital gains, brokerage accounts have capital gains. Believe it or not, even your banking account has capital gains. But what type of tax you're going to pay depends on the duration of the asset and how long you have it. So, long term capital gains are if you own the investment for greater than 12 months or greater than a year. Short term capital gains is if you own it less than 12 months. So, if you think about a savings account, if you're using that money throughout the year, that's going to be assessed as short-term capital gain. So let's go back to our tax chart and look at how you're taxed on long-term or short-term investments. If you recall from last week, we talked about what your income tax liability would be. And your income tax liability is based on what your gross income is. So if you have $50,000 of gross income, remember you get this standard deduction and your taxable income is $36,150. Income tax it's tranched. Basically, each amount of money that you make is taxed at a different rate. So this individual here is taxed at that second rate. You can see here that 12%, because their amount of income, right, is greater than $11,000. That's income tax. So when I'm talking about capital gains tax, which is tax on investments, there's long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains. Short-term capital gains, or gains that your asset has experienced in less than 12 months, is the same as your income tax. So if you're selling your assets prior to a year, the tax that's due on the gain is similar or is the same as your income tax. Now, long-term capital gains are different. Long-term capital gains are if you've owned the investment for 12 months or greater. Now, what's interesting about long-term capital gains is you do get a break on tax. So if you own an investment greater than 12 months, your long-term capital gains could either be 0, 15%, or 20%, and that's dependent on your gross income. So if you're in these first two buckets of taxation, marginal tax brackets, your long-term capital gain would actually be 0. You would not owe any taxes. But if your long-term capital, if you own the asset for longer than 12 months and it's greater, you've earned greater, and now you're in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th tax rate, now you're paying 15%. That's 15% for long-term. And actually, if you fall into this category here, the very last one, you get to pay 20%. So that is what capital gains tax looks like. Capital gains is based on investment gains, and depending on the duration of how long you've owned it, it will either be short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains. So now I want to give you an example of how taxes will impact your investment if you're paying with after-tax dollars. So here's an initial account. I don't have anything in there. I haven't started saving yet. But now I'm committed to saving $500 a month or $6,000 a year. Let's just say I could earn 6%. I'm going to do this for 30 years. And let's say that my tax bracket is 15%. So the first thing that you're going to see is that because I have to pay tax, it actually reduces my return on my investment. See, my investment return is 6%, but I'm actually only going to net 5.1% because I have to give the government a piece of it. And let's look at what that is. All right, so here it is. It says the first year, right? So here's my $6,000 that I've invested. I'm going to earn, after my 6%, $360, which is great, but I will have tax. I have to write a check either from the investment or it will from my cash flow, and I actually have to send that into the government on April 15th. So what you can see is my account value actually drops a little bit, right? Because I'm having to give up or transfer money out of my circle of wealth to the US government in the form of tax. And you'll see that each year that this happens, right? So now in year 2, my account value, I have $13,102, but I've had to send a cumulative tax, meaning between last year and this year, $165 to the US government. So here is my net amount, or the amount that I get to hold on to. Now, here's why I want to encourage you, because even though you have to pay tax, if I continue to save $500 a year for the next 30 years, look at how much money you'll have. You'll have $500,000 that you can enjoy in your retirement. This is what we call freedom. When you have this kind of money, you have freedom to make choices. Now, along the way, though, you've had to pay the government. Remember, you have to give them tax of $48,000. So what you're actually going to keep is about $454,000. So don't let the tax wag the dog. In essence, no, you're going to have to pay tax. But again, what makes people wealthy is saving money for the future. And again, just putting aside $500 a month gives you over $500,000. So over the last couple of days or classes, we've talked about what can you do with your money? Where do we put our money? Because remember, you have choices. When we're saving money for the future, we have to assess risk. How much are we willing to lose? How much are we willing to gain? We have to talk about taxation. How is this asset going to be taxed? Is it going to be taxed as ordinary income? Is it going to be taxed in the future? Is it going to be capital gains tax? And then lastly, we want to talk about liquidity. How easily can I access that money? I said early on, money is just dirty paper, but what it is what we want it to do for us. So what you're looking at here is all the options, really. So if you think about all the places you could put your money, this is a pretty comprehensive list. So there's bonds, which is something you can invest in through the stock market. There's real estate. There's stocks, and remember, stocks is a little piece of a company. There's mutual funds, which are a bunch of stocks put into one portfolio. There's precious metals like gold and silver and oil and gas and other things like that. Annuities, which is a life insurance contract that guarantees upside potential on your money. Well, and your business. I am a firm believer that one of the biggest places that you can invest is yourself, investing in your business smart, with a business plan, with help. But that truly is an investment. CDs like money markets, and then something called permanent life insurance. So you have options. And the way I help my clients to determine where to put their money is really based on this list here. List of benefits. What do you want your money to do for you? It's really just dirty paper, but what benefits do you want? Now, this will be your glossary of terms. This is in your homework, but these are all the benefits. So understand the benefits. So tax deferred growth, what does that mean? It means that you don't pay taxes on your money until you withdraw it or till you use it. Tax-free distribution, it means you don't pay taxes when it's distributed. Competitive rate of return, all that means is that your money is growing at a competitive rate. High contributions, I can save or invest as much money as I want. I don't have the limitations of the US government on how much money I can put into that account. Collateral opportunities, that means that I can use my money as collateral, as backup, when I'm borrowing from somebody else. Well, we talked about this extensively. Safe money, that means there's no loss. Again, no loss provision. guaranteed loan options, which means I can access my money via collateral and then borrow it from a third-party source. Wouldn't this be nice? Unstructured loan payments. So what if I borrowed the money and then I didn't have to pay it back on a regular basis? I could pay it back as I see fit instead of the bank. Liquidity use and control. What that means is that I can access the money whenever I need it. There are investments, and think back to qualified plans, that money is not liquid. Remember, you can't access it till 59 and a half without penalty. So that makes a 401k IRA less liquid because there's penalties to access it prior to 59 and a half. And then there's deductible contributions. And what that means is that you can deduct the money from your tax returns. Again, think about a qualified plan. I get to postpone paying money on that contribution to a future date. Now, if I look at all these investments, right, all of these investments are going to have several of these benefits. By the way, no investment has all of the benefits, right? So we have to pick and choose what's most important to us. So if I go to a CD here and I say the CD is most important, and that's where that's going to be my foundation, the first place I put my wealth. What is a CD? Okay, so it's not tax deferred. It is not tax free. It's not competitive. I can make high contributions. I can put as much money into a CD as I want. It is considered safe. There's no loss as long as the bank does not fail. And it is liquid, which means I can access it and use it however I want. Conversely, let's talk about real estate. So what if I wanted real estate to be the primary place that I put my money? What benefits do I get from that? Well, there is tax deferred growth, right? Because I don't have to pay taxes on the real estate until I sell it. It can be a competitive rate of return if you buy it in the right place and you sell it at the right time. High contributions in that I can spend as much money on a piece of real estate as I can afford. Not necessarily safe. I could use it as collateral if a bank was willing to take that on. No loss provisions. Of course, there's loss. We saw everyone lose money in 2009. So there's no guaranteed loan option, no unstructured payments. It's definitely not liquid. But if my real estate is an investment, right, there's some deductibility in a piece of real estate. And then just to give you one more example, let's talk about mutual funds. What if I made mutual funds that foundation? Well, a mutual fund is not tax deferred growth. I have to pay taxes on it every year. Certainly not tax free. I can get a high rate of return, high contributions. Definitely not any of these things. Now, collateral opportunities. In some instances, depending on where your money is held, you can do something called a margin loan. So it would allow you to use your mutual fund as collateral and take a loan from the financial institution. So we would have collateral opportunities there. It is liquid. You could sell your mutual fund at any time you want, and then it's not deductible. So again, when we're thinking about where to put our money, where do we save for our future? I want you to think about what benefits do you want from that money, because the benefits are what's going to tell us where to put your money. What do you want to be done with your money?
Well, I love all of that information, Monica, because I feel like this cumulative knowledge that we're building about finances is really helping everyone better understand what opportunities are out there for them and how they can actually strategically achieve their financial goals if they just put some planning in place. So thank you for sharing all of that, because I really think that this, entire 5 classes now that we've done is starting to add so much more clarity to this conversation.
Well, and financial literacy is so important. And that's why I'm thrilled that we're doing this for your viewers. Money is not complex. We just have to understand what it does and what it can do for us. And the reason I've built this class is so that all these pieces build on each other. And when you understand how money really works, you get to make such better choices for yourself and your family.
Absolutely. Now, I imagine that there's also some homework for today's class. So what would you like everyone to complete?
Well, I really want you to sit down and think about not only for yourself, but your significant other or, the important, your family. What benefits are most important to you? And by the way, there are no wrong answers. I hate losing money. So safety is of utmost importance to me. Liquidity is something that's very important to me as well. But what I feel is important and what you feel is important are different. So I want you to think about that laundry list of benefits, and it is in your homework. What's the most important to you? And then I want you to put those benefits or align those benefits with what investments you think will provide those for you. And I know Liz and I are going to spend some time in office hours, reading through all of your questions. So I want to know, if you want safety, where can you put your money? Help me understand where you think you would put your money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, like you said, I mean, having this financial literacy really frees you from the typical stuff that we come across. And I think you had touched on that even a couple classes ago about our circle of knowledge, about the things that we're commonly exposed to and how that kind of limits our belief system. It limits also how much we're able to achieve on our own because we don't really understand what else is out there. And so I'm just so excited that everyone's going to get this fundamental level of financial knowledge, because you're really going to have that power to choose the things that work best for you and have a better understanding of how these things can play into your strategy instead of just kind of being at the whim of, whatever someone plops in front of you. So I just cannot thank you enough for all of this information, because I think this is really, really, really going to open everyone's doors and windows for that matter.
Right. Well, and I want you to know, so we have 2 more classes left to go. And those are really very exciting because we're going to take all of this knowledge that we've been talking about over the last 5 weeks, and we're going to put it into how do you truly become a wealth creator? You see, there's strategies that banks and financial institutions, corporations, and very wealthy people are using to not only keep their wealth, but grow it and leave legacies. You don't have to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to create wealth and legacy, right? What you need is knowledge and understanding of where to put your money and then how to use it. And so I'm thrilled about our next 2 classes because I'm going to teach you how to become what we call a wealth creator. Where do I put my money and how do I grow it? And now that you have this financial literacy, now that you have this foundation, you're going to understand why. Why is it that I'm making the recommendations that I do?
Speaking of homework, is there a specific way that you'd like people to interact with their homework this week?
Yeah. So we talked about all the benefits of money. And by the way, there is no right or wrong. What's important to you might be not important to somebody else. Liquidity is important to me. Safety is important to me. So there are no wrong answers, right? This is your wealth and what you want it to do. But I am curious. I do want to know. So I've asked Liz to put a link below where you can submit your top 3 benefits of money. But I also want to know, if those are your top 3 benefits, what would you do with your money? So where would you get those benefits? And I would love to know what you come up with. So
That's great. Yeah, so guys, I will put a link right below this video in the description section. If you're on a mobile device, all you have to do is click on the title of the video and it'll expand that out so you can see the link. And as always, we love to see you engage with our videos and to ask questions. So any public questions, anything you don't mind submitting on a public format, we are happy to have you comment below and ask us pretty much anything that you want to know as we go through this financial university journey. So thank you so much, Monica. I'm really looking forward to class 6 and 7 with you.
Yeah.
And everyone,
Awesome.
thanks for tuning in. All right.
All right.
See you guys
Bye-bye.
next time. Bye.